In 2014, George Clooney, at the time arguably the most famous bachelor in the world, a man who had publicly stated he would never marry again, got down on one knee for a woman who had never once tried to be famous. She was not a model. She was not a celebrity. She was not in his industry. She was not chasing him, his world, or his spotlight. She was Amal Alamuddin, a barrister, a human rights lawyer who had spent years building one of the most formidable legal careers of her generation, a woman who argued cases before international courts, who represented the most vulnerable people on the planet, who moved in rooms of world leaders and presidents with complete authority. She had a life, a full, significant, extraordinary life, and he walked into it. Before she was Amal Clooney, she was Amal Alamuddin. And I want to spend time here because I think this is the most important thing about her and the most overlooked. She was born in Beirut. She grew up between Lebanon and England. She navigated spaces that were not designed for her. She brought her full self into every room she entered, and she built a career on the strength of her mind, her preparation, and her absolute refusal to be anything other than excellent. By the time she met George Clooney, she had already represented WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange and many others and was working on some of the most complex and significant human rights cases in the world. She was advising the United Nations. She was a visiting professor at Columbia Law School. She was not looking for a man to complete her. She was already complete. This is a woman who had built something so real, so substantial, so entirely her own, that she brought that fullness into her relationship rather than expecting the relationship to create it for her. I love when a woman can hold her own. Her identity was not absorbed into his. Her career did not become secondary to his. Her sense of self did not reorganize itself around being his wife. She continues to take cases. She continues to argue in court. She continues to do the work that defined her before he existed in her life. Marriage did not become her identity. It became a part of her life. There's a difference that most women understand intellectually but struggle to live. Because here is the social conditioning that women fight against in relationships. The expectation that a woman's identity should expand to accommodate a man's and contract to fit within it. That she should make herself more available, more flexible, more centered on him as the relationship develops. That her ambitions should quietly soften as his take up more room. Amal Clooney never received that memo. Or she received it and chucked it in the trash. And honestly, that's where it belongs. The thing George Clooney fell in love with was not a woman who was available to become whoever he needed. It was a woman who was already so fully herself that being around her felt like encountering something rare. You cannot manufacture that. You can only build it. And you build it by investing in yourself with the same consistency and seriousness before a relationship as you would hope to maintain inside one. Women are taught to make themselves appealing, to perform desirability, to position themselves in the right rooms, signal the right things, be the right kind of available. The focus is almost always outward. How do I make him notice me, choose me, want me? Amal's entire life is evidence that the most magnetic thing a woman can do is build something worth being drawn to. She was the most interesting person in every room she was already in, and that is a completely different energy. The women who attract exceptional partners are almost never the women who are focused on attracting exceptional partners. They are the women who were so invested in their own lives, their own work, their own becoming, that the attraction was a byproduct rather than the goal. That is the blueprint. Build the life first. The right person does not complete it. They add to something that was already whole. Most conversations about standards focus on a list. He must be this tall. He must earn this much. He must have these qualities. Those are performative standards. It is a checklist that exists in theory and collapses the moment attraction or loneliness or fear of being alone enters the room. And there is nothing wrong with wanting a wealthy partner. Nothing wrong with a checklist. You should want the successful man, the financial security, all of it. Shout out Share 7. But that is not the conversation. The conversation is about what you have independently of him. To be a woman who can stand on her own 2 feet inside the relationship, who has her own identity, her own sense of purpose, her own life that exists outside of what he provides. That is the key. Holding your own, whatever that looks like for you, so that you are a partner in the relationship, not just a passenger in his life. And when you get there, you stop chasing, you stop performing, You stop trying to be chosen. Because a woman who holds her own carries an energy that naturally draws an equal toward her. You do not go looking for him, he finds his way to you. Structural standards are different. They are built into the architecture of your life rather than written on a list. They exist in what you will and will not make time for, in the quality of people you surround yourself with, in the environments you put yourself in the work you take seriously and the work you do not, in what you consider non negotiable about how you are treated. Amal's standards were structural. She was operating at a level of intellectual and professional excellence that naturally filtered who could exist in her world. She was not sitting across from a man on a date running through a checklist. She was living a life of such quality that mediocrity simply could not gain entry. George Clooney had to rise to meet her world, not the other way around. He pursued her. He flew to London to see her. He made the effort. And he has spoken publicly about the fact that marrying her made him more serious about his own life, his own legacy, his own contribution to the world. She did not just find a great partner, she became the kind of woman who inspired a great partner to be greater. Another thread of the Amal blueprint is her soft power. And this is the one I want to sit with because it is the most misunderstood. Soft power is not weakness dressed up as femininity. It is not performance. It is not strategic warmth deployed to get what you want. It is the authority that comes from a woman who is so grounded in who she is that she does not need to announce herself in any room she enters. Amal Clooney sits across from presidents and war criminals and world leaders, and she does not perform power. She embodies it. There is a quality to her presence, measured, precise, completely unintimidated, that is the product of a woman who has spent years doing serious work in high-stakes environments and has simply learned that she belongs there. She is elegant without being decorative. She is warm without performing warmth. She is present without needing to be the loudest person in the room. And she moves through spaces that were not built for women like her without apologizing for her presence or shrinking to make others more comfortable. That is not a style choice. That is an identity. Soft power is the natural result of a woman who has done the internal work, who knows who she is, who has built something real, who does not need external validation to feel entitled to the space she occupies. It cannot be performed. It can only be grown. And it grows from the same root as everything else in this blueprint. A woman who has invested in herself so fully and so consistently that her presence speaks before she does. The Amal Clooney blueprint is not about becoming Amal Clooney. It is about understanding what she represents at a deeper level and asking whether your life reflects those same principles in your own context. It asks you to build something real, a career, a craft, a body of work, a life of substance that exists entirely independently of any relationship. Something you are serious about. Something that challenges you, develops you, takes up real space in your life because you have decided it deserves to. It asks you to keep yourself in your relationships, to refuse the slow erosion of identity that happens when women make themselves progressively smaller to accommodate a partner, to bring your full self into love rather than offering a managed, convenient version of yourself that is easier for someone else to handle. It asks you to raise your standard of environment, not just your standard of partner, the quality of people you spend time with, the conversations you engage in, the spaces you put yourself in, the work you take seriously. All of it creates the conditions for the kind of life that attracts the kind of love you actually want. It asks you to embody rather than perform, to stop performing confidence, performing standards, performing the woman you want to be seen as, and to do the actual work of becoming her, quietly, consistently, without an audience. Here's what I want to leave you with. Who are you when you are not in a relationship? What exists in your life that is entirely yours? Your work, your purpose, your becoming, that would continue with the same intensity and commitment whether or not anyone was watching or choosing you. Are you building a life that someone exceptional would want to enter? Or are you waiting for someone exceptional to arrive before you start building? Amal Clooney did not become remarkable when George Clooney fell in love with her. She was already remarkable. He simply had the good sense to recognize it and the character to be worthy of it. Build the life. Become the woman. The right person does not create her. They find her. If this resonated and you want to go deeper, the full life audit is linked in the description. 43 pages, No fluff, just the work.